you, Marcus. Thank you for this opportunity. It's great to be here in this group and the whole arrangement. It's fantastic. I just start with the example of the whale shark, and perhaps this also relates to the way we are driving the subject in this particular session. When a whale shark dies, the body of this whale shark gradually settles on the ocean floor. And most of the time, it goes to a point where it's completely dark, and it's in a cavity or it's in the bottom of the ocean. And then over a period of time, it releases its body, the skin, the parts, the capillaries. They release the gathering of the sunlight which it has during the life of this particular animal. And in that release of its body, hundreds and thousands of creatures of the ocean feed on that, because they never have a chance to get back or to see the sun or to get the properties of light. And in that, there's an interaction with the processes of life, and thousands of creatures then depend on this kind of life and birth. And in that they regenerate life. There's fish. Man depends on fish. Is one of the largest employers on Earth. And these are also people who live in very crowded and populated parts of the planet. Now this, if it's an example, if you really see it from a point of view an enlightened person, you understand what is meant by life on Earth. And everything, all of us are connected, and this is something that I'd like to talk a bit about. In the topic that we have here, which Marcus introduced to us, for an organization like mine, this aspect of value and this aspect of benefits. In fact, for WWF, biodiversity is beyond value and beyond benefits. And it's only in order to explain it to the way we are living our lives today and the corporate engagements with people and customers and suppliers and all that. We have to make a way in order to make this major sector of the world understand how valuable it is, what is the quality that it's giving you, and how it will have an effect over a period of time. If you live above you, if you look above you in Delhi, the birds are gone off our skies. You may see the odd kites, or you may see some migration. But 10, 15 years earlier, we could see cranes, we could see stork, we could see vultures, we could see 3, 4 varieties of vultures, birds of prey and all that. And over a period of time, this is an indicator. Biodiversity is an indicator of the health of the ecosystem. So it tells us that something is happening, and if you are not smart enough to understand that, it's going to affect us for a longer period of time. When the cost of revival will be so high, it's going to be very, very difficult to us to make that change. The rejuvenation costs a lot in nature. So if our rivers are dying, if our ghadial and our dolphin and our otters are telling us something, that the fish are going, the rivers are dying, it doesn't take long. It took about 15 years or maybe a bit more for some of our best rivers to go to a point of from life to the kind of mess that we have outside of Delhi. This is one aspect. The other is that in my country, the symbol of biodiversity is the tiger. You cannot, as Mukundan Saab said, you can't get away from that aspect. But beyond that, there is a much larger thing. It's a spirit, it's the heritage, the cultural heritage, the knowledge, the understanding, the historical connect that we have with nature. And in this, my organization works across the world in more than 120 countries. Nowhere in the world do we have a region where conservation has an heritage and religious value. And I'm talking about parts of, say, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh. Nowhere in the region, in the world. So this is beyond, for me, beyond something just value and economic value and economic science. I'd also say that when we look at it on a larger geographical perspective, look at the way we deal and interact with our transboundary neighbors and others, forests and water connect us. Yeah? Without that, it's difficult for us to understand what livelihoods are going to be like. So a lot of our agriculture depends on this. On agriculture depends demand. On demand depends industry. So there is a very, very important innate connection in all this. I'll give you two brief examples. One is that a very large number of people depend on forests and biodiversity in India. It could be as much as 200 million. A very large number of people depend on coastal fishing. And our oceans are dying because the sea stock, the sea fish stock are crashing. They've crashed across in Western Africa and in Europe. And in India, the catch is becoming less and less. And you don't have to go far. If you are fish eaters, you can see what's coming onto your plate in the last 5 years. And, make a judgment call from that. Now, all this means that organizations like ours, we have to understand the language and that others are speaking and try to relate to that in a way that they understand biodiversity. So this entire engagement with organizations like the CII, with business and industry, with corporates to understand and convert that into economic value and show that economic value in terms of many other ways, like for instance, in the innovation that we undertook in the terminology of ecosystem services. Explanation of that, the broad basing of all this, it makes a difference. And lastly, I'd say that a lot of these areas, including in initiatives such as the IBBI, which Mr. Mukundan talked about, this is where India leads. And this is where in the next 20 to 30 years, we'll see much more convergence in terms of dialogue, we'll see convergence in terms of action. We have people in industry talking like conservationists when they say it's important for us to conserve our forests, our wildlife, and connect that to our people and our customers. So these are some of the points that I'd like to make with regard to what our organizations do.